By nightfall, he was working on a ship, doing the job of 2 men for double the pay. He was overjoyed. He was working again. That's what you get for starting a fight. The Honolulu Star had departed from New York and was bound for San Francisco via Gibraltar, the Suez Canal, India, and the Pacific Islands. It was the longest luxury cruise route in the world, catering to whimsical millionaires, famous film stars, and pampered card cheats. In the salon, elegant and refined passengers passed the days in small board groups. Dinners were grand affairs with glittering gowns and dazzling jewelry. The daily rituals of forced cheer, polite mingling, and clueless remarks about weather, maritime engineering, ship design, and every other topic they didn't actually understand. That was high society aboard the Honolulu Star. The bar featured soft jazz, champagne, Dutch gin, and English whiskey. Occasionally, one of the rougher millionaire types, typically a plantation owner from India, would cut loose by screaming song lyrics and conducting the band with an ice bucket on his head. The others would frown upon this, and secretly envy it. Then came the Red Sea, ushering in a poetic period of minor flirtations and major seasickness. Jose the waiter served everyone with cheerful flair, often showing off his sleight of hand. Unfortunately, the spirits of bad jugglers haunted him. Sometimes he'd smile at a lady and, without even looking, pour her tea with practiced grace, only for the scalding stream to land on the bald head of an elderly gentleman nearby. Scandals ensued. Some passengers demanded the Spanish waiter be immediately dismissed, but the fathers on board rallied to defend him. After all, the children were thrilled whenever Jose doused someone. And what won't a parent do for their child's laughter? Meanwhile, down in the boiler room, Wilson Hutchins, the American stoker, sometimes slept standing up like a horse. When startled awake, he'd pull warm meat out of his inner coat pocket. By the time they reached the Bab el Mandeb Strait, he had learned to eat in his sleep. The chief engineer feared him, convinced he was possessed. An Arab stoker tried to end the madness by stabbing Hutchins with a shovel. He wouldn't try that again, since then his nose had resembled a uniquely shaped potato. That was the situation near Aden. After Aden, something strange began happening upstairs. Jose, the waiter, seemed unusually sleepy. The chief engineer, standing at the boiler room staircase, overheard the first officer reporting to the captain that Jose was constantly drowsy. The engineer, with quiet humility, suggested that Wilson Hutchins, one of the stokers, also tended to fall asleep on his feet. He believed a rogue tsetse fly had made its way aboard, triggering these scattered cases of sleeping sickness. The captain replied that the engineer was an idiot, likely from drinking too much rum. That explanation made enough sense for the officer to accept it without further thought. Mr. Irving, the ship's most peculiar passenger, quickly grew fond of Jose, the doomed juggler and suspected narcoleptic. Irving couldn't have been older than 20, though he looked even younger. In a tuxedo, he resembled a young girl. His round eyebrows, large wondering eyes, and soft, delicate face gave him a touching, boyish charm. He spoke rarely, and then only in whispers, always polite. He socialized with no one, aside from the customary introductions at the first shared meal. Only one man accompanied him around the ship, Mr. Gould. All the passengers despised Gould. He was enormous, gray-haired, and loud. Everyone believed he tyrannized the charming young man. And yet Irving himself was so silent, so solemnly noble, like a man bound for the priesthood, or someone deep in mourning. Just before reaching Penang, Jose had a rather curious incident. From the harbor, a giant Malay came aboard. He snapped chains, chewed nails, and flexed his muscles for a few coins. The man had the build of a myth. Later, he demonstrated Japanese jiu-jitsu moves for the crew. Jose was running up and down the steps, carrying drinks and cakes, until one of his overly grand, sweeping gestures resulted in a whipped cream cake landing squarely on the Malay's head. The giant scraped chocolate foam from his face with a guttural snarl, bared his massive teeth, and finally, with a chivalrous smile masking his fury, announced that he would crush Jose, were it not for the refined company. In response, the Spanish waiter shouted the names of several appetizers at the native, in a rather stern voice, which, understandably, only made things worse.
Mabisang Glonga Bon Bon.
Omelette, a la Sevilla.
Sehungi Mitsonga Zurb Sefar.
Olla podrida.
That one came from his days as a window display. Then he dashed down and came to a halt, panting in front of the Malay. The passengers, thrilled to have something, anything, to break the monotony, gathered eagerly around. High above, at the railing, stood Mr. Irving, resting his elbows on the edge, wearing his usual look of gentle sorrow and utter disinterest. The Malay flashed his white teeth again. Another smile.
What weak white man want? I eat him.
Go ahead and try.
I no hit. Hindu self-defense. You strike me full force. I only block.
I don't know.
You hit. Secret move. Fast. Sure. No chance for you.
All right, ready?
Ready.
Fulig Jimmy was curious about the move. It had to be jujitsu.
Strike now. Surprise.
It was indeed a surprise. That someone could perform a somersault from a single slap, knock over 4 passengers and several little tables with raspberry soda, that was unexpected. Blood poured from the Malay's nose, mouth, and ears, and a split stretched from the corner of his mouth to under one eye. He lay sprawled on the deck while the 4 flattened passengers urgently asked him to get off of them. Meanwhile, Jose took a quick nap, standing like an old warhorse. The Malay jumped to his feet with a roar.
No count. You be lefty. I expect hit from right.
Can't post a traffic cop next to every punch.
I kill you now.
He lunged. Jose stepped back slightly, not from fear, but from raspberry syrup. He didn't want to stain his beautiful uniform with the gold buttons. He delivered a swift hook to slow the initial rush, slipped under a left jab, and tapped the native's chin with a gentle uppercut. Then the Malay kicked him. It was an illegal, impudent, unsportsmanlike kick. Fulig Jimmy's blood boiled and he bellowed,
Ensalada frita a la Escorial.
Everyone froze. They recognized it as an ancient oath from the Moorish conquerors, uttered only in moments of life-and-death combat by honorable Spanish youth. And Jimmy jumped. He locked the Malay's neck in the crook of his arm and squeezed his waist in tight. The native's buffalo-like neck muscles bulged furiously. And then Jimmy happened to glance up at the promenade deck. What he saw nearly made him let go from sheer surprise. Mr. Irving, leaning on the railing, glanced down at him with the corner of his eye and gave a faint, friendly nod, one that seemed to say, "Go on. Teach him." Jose twisted the neck, drove a knee into the gut, and sent the native flying across the deck. He landed with such a thud that the ship itself seemed to shudder. The crowd burst into spontaneous applause. Like a gored bull dragged from the arena, the Malay was hauled off by his legs. Jose, like a tired violinist, bowed with a soft smile, shook his own hand, blew kisses, then accidentally backed into the buffet, knocking the whole setup over. Half the crowd was sprayed with iced drinks. Then, a high, clear, joyful laugh rang from above. Everyone looked up. Mr. Irving was laughing at the railing. But just then the imposing figure of his guardian appeared, and the boyish laugh instantly vanished. The young man departed, solemn and noble as ever. The captain turned toward the bearded, red-faced steward beside him.
That waiter's a lunatic. But a man. Do you even know how strong he is?
Oh, I know.
Later that evening, warm and heavy with tropical haze, the steamship sped across the black, glistening waters between the Malay Peninsula and Singapore. Fulig Jimmy sat at the top of the iron staircase from the boiler room beside the quartermaster.
Sir, I haven't slept in 3 weeks.
Shh. Careful. You always sleep. It's suspicious. No one else stands around like a sleepwalker.
What can I do if the passengers here are so lively?
If they discover that Jose the waiter and Hutchins the stoker are the same person, I'm out too. For fraud.
Relax, just 2 more weeks. I'll survive somehow.
Take a half-hour nap right here. I'll wake you in time.
Jimmy gave no reply. He was already asleep. Later, he stirred. Someone touched his shoulder.
5 more minutes, you monster!
Wake up, stranger.
He opened his eyes and was stunned to see who sat beside him on the iron steps.
Mr. Irving.
Shh. Mr. Gould thinks I'm asleep. Please accept my deepest admiration, waiter. You are a splendid fellow. That's all I wanted to say.
The muffled hum of the engines echoed under them. Otherwise, silence. Mr. Irving sat there beside Jimmy as if performing some sacred ritual.
You handled that native quite well. You must be strong. May I touch your bicep?
Don't be ridiculous.
Was that an insult?
Mr. Irving, are you drunk?
No one's ever insulted me before.
No kidding. So you're that strong?
I wouldn't know. I've never hit anyone. Tell me, stranger, how does one go about it?
You're joking, right? You've never been punched? Ever walked down a street?
I've never in my life walked down a public street.
You haven't walked? Then who are you, Mr. Irving? Are you really Mr. Irving?
I'm in disguise.
That a kind of suit?
It means I'm living under an assumed name.
Brilliant! I'm in disguise too. You a con man as well?
You're truly delightful, dear waiter. But I must go. Mr. Gould might notice my absence.
Why are you scared of that guy? I'll dump a whole plate of marinated fish a la Tornados on him tomorrow at lunch if you want.
No, please. I beg you, my dear rude man. My poor father gave full authority to Uncle Fernandez. He's the Prince Regent, and we must accept this.
You lost me somewhere in there. All I know is I don't like that guy, and I'd gladly bash his head against anything solid and lumpy.
Oh, sir, don't you dare. You're a fine working man and in our good graces, but that would earn you serious punishment. Now I must go. Dear stranger, we shall speak again. I've enjoyed our time together. I will reward you. Would you like some money?
Excuse me?
I'm not quite sure what money's worth. If I give you $500, is that too much? No, wait, that's too little. I might insult you.
What the?
I've got it. Once, by God's grace, my commanding uncle rewarded a loyal subject with $2,000. That's not too paltry, is it? Here you go, good man.
He pulled out his wallet, handed Jimmy $2,000, patted his shoulder, and left. He either thought Jimmy was still asleep or mad, and that the monstrous man was his nurse. $2,000. Now that's something worth pondering. But before Jimmy could even begin, he fell asleep on the spot. To be continued.